Forget about dusty old grammar books. Today, we're going to build your very first real Polish sentences, and we're going to do it using just a few simple vocabulary blocks. You ready? Let's dive in.
So, let's start with the most basic question you could ever ask, right? Who is this? Or what is this? By the end of this quick explainer, you're not just going to know how to ask this. You'll have the complete toolkit to answer it, turn it into a question, and even say no.
You see, the real key to speaking basic Polish isn't about memorizing complex rules. It's all about these little vocabulary blocks. We're starting with the first two you absolutely need to ask about, well, literally anything you see.
And here they are, kto and co. That's it. Every single question you ask about what something is or who someone is will start with one of these two little words. They might look simple, but each one has a very specific job. Let's start with the first one.
Our first block is kto. It's pronounced just like it looks, K-T-O. And the rule here couldn't be easier. If you're asking about a person, you use kto. You see someone across the room you don't recognize, your brain should immediately jump to kto.
And our second block is go, pronounced so. This is your go-to word for literally everything else. Objects, ideas, things you can't identify, you name it. That book on the table, go. That strange noise you just heard, go. It's your all-purpose tool for what?
Okay, so we can ask who and what, but how do we actually answer? Well, this is where Polish gets really cool and simple. There's one single phrase that works as the answer for both of those questions. The formula is honestly as easy as it gets. You just start with to ist, which means this is, and then you literally just drop in the noun. No weird changes, no complicated endings. You just add the word as you'd find it in the dictionary. So let's see this thing in action, right? Somebody asks, kto to jest? Pointing to some guy. You answer, to jest Robert. Boom. Simple, direct, and 100% correct. And what about for an object? Well, the exact same formula works perfectly. Someone asks, co to jest? You just answer, to jest książka. See what I mean? It's one phrase that opens up endless possibilities. All right, we're making progress. We can ask who and what, and we can answer. But how do we ask a simple yes or no question? You know, like, is this a book? For that, we need to grab our next vocabulary block, a little word called chi. Now, ch, pronounced kind of like chi, is such a cool little word. It doesn't really have a direct translation in English. The best way to think about it is as a signal. When you stick ch at the very beginning of a sentence, you're basically telling the other person, hey, get ready, a yes or no question is coming your way.
So, to flip a statement into a question, all you do is add chi right to the front. The statement we just learned, to jest książka, instantly becomes the question, czy to jest książka? Yep, it really is that simple.
We're almost there, I promise. We have one final, super important block to add to our toolkit. I mean, what if the answer isn't yes? This is where the simple but incredibly powerful word nie comes into play. And here is a golden rule you can always count on. Whenever you want to make a sentence negative in Polish, you take the word nie, which means no or not, and you place it right before the verb, every single time. So check this out. You take a positive statement like, to jest dom. This is a house. To make it negative, you just slide nie in right before the verb, jest. And what do you get? To nie jest dom. The rest of the sentence doesn't change at all.
Okay, time for the fun part. We've gathered all our vocabulary blocks. We've got kto, co jest, chi, and nie. Now let's put them all together and see how they work in real, actual conversations. So, asking about a person, kto to jest? The answer, to jest ona. Easy. And now for an object, co to jest? See, the exact same structure applies. To jest telefon. Look at that, you're already having a basic conversation.
What about a yes or no question? Czy to jest kot? And the positive answer, using tak for yes, is just tak, to jest kot.
And finally, the negative response. Czy to jest komputer? The answer starts with nie for no, and then uses that negative structure we just learned. To nie jest komputer. Did you catch that? Nie does double duty here. It means both no at the start and not in the middle of the sentence.
Okay, let's quickly lock in these key takeaways, especially if you're coming from English. First, and this is huge, just forget about the words a and the. They just don't exist in Polish. Second, trust that to jest structure. It's your best friend for sounding natural. And finally, making things negative is always simple. Just pop nie right before the verb.
And just like that, you have the fundamental building blocks to ask about and identify literally anything you see in Polish. You can point to a person, a thing, a picture on your phone, and start a real conversation. So the only question left is, what are you going to build first?